So today's verse, before starting today's verse, just like to recap a little bit. We see this in the previous chapter. The Prachitas received this very wonderful instruction from Lord Shiva, and they, after Lord Shiva disappeared, the Prachitas start their meditation in the water for 10,000 years. So here, Maitri Muni is retelling this katha to Vidura. It's after the Prachitas went in the ocean for 10,000 years, they found that their father, King Prachina Bihari, King Prachina Barhisat, was doing food activities immersed, and Narad Muni took compassion. So he went to the king, and this is how the conversation starts. So if you just read the translation, it says, Narad Muni asked King Parikshit Barhasit, "My dear king, what do you desire to achieve by performing these food activities? The chief aim of life is to get rid of all miseries and enjoy happiness, but these two things cannot be realized by food activity." So here we see Narad Muni is like chastising the king. Sometimes the spiritual master or the instructing guru can be very sharp. It looks like chastisement. So here, without any protocol, we do not see any like Narad Muni being received with sweet words and feet being washed, being garlanded, being arti. No, just Narad Muni comes and immediately, like with urgency, start chastising the king. Because the Vaishnavas are very, very compassionate. Sometimes this chastisement, what looks like chastisement, is actually a blessing. Even the case of spiritual master, sometimes a spiritual master can be very direct and very sharp, and a devotee or disciple might feel a bit uneasy, but that one should recognize that chastisement is only reserved for advanced disciple who can tolerate the chastisement. Actually, chastisement is a blessing in disguise, because the spiritual master is at this level of intimacy where he can feel comfortable to chastise the disciple, and the disciple might not feel uneasy. So here we see Narad Muni coming and straightway and going for King Parikshit, what he's doing, all this activity, what he's trying to achieve. And without waiting for the answer from the king, Narad Muni immediately answers, "The chief aim of life is to get rid of all miseries and enjoy happiness, but these two things cannot be realized by fruitive activity." So a very, very sharp reply to his own question. So the king, is amazed, and depending on the mood of the recipient, it can hit the heart, and then the recipient of the mercy through chastisement become very advanced. We see Srila Prabhupada also chastise the disciple very, very, very sharply sometimes, but this is for their own good. My spiritual master, His Holiness Tamakrishna Goswami Maharaj, was known to be very sharp, and also in very many cases chastise his disciple very sharply sometimes. I remember once we were in Suva, Fiji, and Guru Maharaj just came, and there was big reception, but the bus that they arranged was not very good. It was leaking. So immediately he called the president, His Grace Jaran Prabhu, and chastised him in front of everyone. But at that time, Jaran Prabhu was telling me he felt so bad. He just joined the movement for just like 1 or 2 years. And although he was temple president, he was doing his best to make arrangement, but to being chastised in front of everyone was a big hit to his ego. He said, after this, he was thinking, should I go home and just resign, don't just leave Hare Krishna movement? And he said, no, this chastisement, my Guru Maharaj, is because I'm close to him, I can take it. So he took in the right mood, and then he became very advanced. Yes, sometimes like this. So here Narad Muni is in this mood. He's being very direct, very sharp, and because he sees this the king doing all this fruitive activity is not going to lead to the final goal. This is to get happiness and to get rid of the misery of life and to enjoy happiness. So this is the character of Vaishnava. He is very, very compassionate. Yesterday we heard from His Grace Sambhava Prabhu of the compassion of Narad Muni. He is the epitome, exemplifier of compassion, of Vaishnava compassion. He related the story of Mrigari Hunter, how Narad Muni transformed completely from giving so much bliss to animal, became a topmost Vaishnava, where he was even sweeping the end from the path of his spiritual master. Such a transformation. So this is the hallmark of the Vaishnava, Karuna, mercy. Now we can see all these verses is also exemplifying being merciful to the audience. Previously, this quality of humility and compassion is very much evident in all the Vaishnava acharyas. We can see Acharya, Ramanacharya, and even recently Srila Prabhupada, he exhibited this quality to such a great extent. I just want to elaborate a little bit on this quality of mercy of the Vaishnavas. In case of Ramanacharya, he is the founder Acharya of Sri Sampradaya, and he was receiving instruction from many, many great acharyas and gurus. So one time he went to one acharya and he gave this confidential mantra. And he said, because he said this mantra is so confidential, he's not able to anybody. And because Ramanacharya requested him for, I think, 18 times, and he was not giving it, and Krishna within the heart of the acharya instructed him that Ramanacharya is quite qualified to receive this mantra. And finally, the acharya relented and gave this mantra to Ramanacharya, and on the condition that he will not reveal this mantra to anybody. This mantra is so powerful, it can liberate anybody instantly. So Ramanacharya received this mantra in a very humble state. After being served to his acharya, he was going back home. And the way he saw a big temple. And then he said, he was contemplating, if this mantra is so powerful, why should we not give it to everybody? And then he was saying, my Guru Maharaj said, no, I shouldn't give it to anybody. But he said, oh, this mantra is really liberate everybody. So he went on the balcony of the temple and called all the villages and town people, hey, come, I'll give this mantra. And he went and recited Om Namo Narayana, very loudly. All the people who were gathered, they also recited. And immediately, the whole atmosphere was changed like Vaikuntha. People started jumping, dancing, rolling, and tears were coming from their eyes. A complete transformation. And Ramanacharya is very, very happy. There's so many people with the mercy of this mantra. So when he was, after this, his Guru Maharaj, the Acharya who gave him the mantra with a message. And he was very, very unhappy. He said, I gave this mantra to Ramanacharya on the condition that you not divulge this mantra to anybody. But what he has done, he has disobeyed my condition. So he was very unhappy. When Ramanacharya heard this, he went back to the Acharya. The Acharya was very, very disappointed. He didn't want to see them, Ramanacharya. But after request, he did say. And then when Ramanacharya came in front of the Acharya, Acharya said, I told you not to tell this mantra, it's so confidential. Why did you do it? Why did you disobey me? It's such a strict instruction. And Ramanacharya said, I had to do it to liberate all these people. But he said, what is the result of disobeying disobeying me? Ramanacharya said, I already know. So what is the result? He said, by disobeying you and disobeying this mantra, I'll be rotting in hell for many, many millions of lifetimes. The Acharya said, oh, you know this, the result. So why did you do it? Do you want to rot in hell for many, many lifetimes? The Ramanacharya was so compassionate. He said, I'm an insignificant soul. If by me going to hell for many, many lifetimes, all these people get liberated, there's a small price to pay. And the Acharya was shocked. Ramanacharya's compassion. He was willing to suffer for the disobeying the Acharya. And eventually the Acharya changed to get transformed. He said, oh Ramanacharya, You are my guru, I am a disciple. You've got so much compassion. So this compassion is very inherent in the heart of the Vaishnava. All the devotees who go out to Harinam, the food distribution, book distribution, these are they are being the instrument of the mercy of the Acharyas, this great Acharya Ramacharya. So here, Narad Muni is also exhibiting this great compassion. Even in current time, I just recently heard this episode of Srila Prabhupada, how compassionate he was. When Prabhupada was very sick, initially he was in Bombay in 1977. One big scholar, he was following this Pancharatrik Vidi. And when he heard that Prabhupada was sick and he was suffering so much, he took so much compassion. And this scholar and devotee from Karnataka, Bangalore at that time, he took a flight from Bangalore to Bombay and to meet Srila Prabhupada. And when he arrived in Prabhupada's area, in temple, he said, I want to have a private audience with Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada at that time was not granting any private audience. But Prabhupada thought, oh, this scholar has come all the way from Bangalore in an air flight. At that time was so expensive, unheard of, by his own expense. There must be something he wants to tell me. So he said, okay, I'll see him. So then this Acharya came in presence of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, why you want to see me? So he said, Prabhupada, I am a scholar, devotee. I'm the school of special school. And I know when the Acharya is still present in the material world, and there is his deity, and people worship the deity or touches the deity, then the Acharya get all these sinful reaction of the people who are worshipping or touching his feet. And he said, oh, you are still present. It's not a very good idea to have a deity and all the people, third means devotees, non-devotees, coming and touching your feet, asking for your mercy. The Prabhupada said, yes, I already know that. So he said, so why are you doing it? You're suffering so much. You should stop this system. Prabhupada said, I already know. And Acharya was surprised that Prabhupada already knew this, but still he was allowing people to have his darshan and allowing his feet to be touched. So then Prabhupada said, this is why I'm here. I'm here to rectify, purify the material souls who are coming to this contact. And just because, just to save them, I'm here. So the Acharya, the Pandit who came, the scholar was extremely amazed. Even in this condition, Prabhupada just bones, hardly any flesh left. Such an ordinary situation, there was great pain, but he was so transcendental. He was willing to take all the sinful activities of the devotees and non-devotees who were coming and touching his deity form. So Acharya was surprised, then he went away, just thinking how compassionate Srila Prabhupada. So this is the hallmark of the devotee, extreme compassion, not paradukha dukhi. The Acharya cannot see the business of his fallen souls. He wants to be compassionate. So we can see Srila Prabhupada deity is very, very transcendental. We should not take advantage. Sometime I've been doing Srila Prabhupada's blessing for many years. I think in 2018, I gave the service to Suchandra Prabhu. Before that, I was doing it. And there's some mystic around surrounding of worship Srila Prabhupada. If you touch his feet, give him a shower, mop, or sponge him and dress him, there's so much mercy for him. Sometimes you look in his eyes, and you can feel that Srila Prabhupada is looking at so much compassion in his eyes. So we should take it very seriously. The Prabhupada deity form is non-different from Srila Prabhupada. If you put in the right mood, we become eligible to receive this. Very, very transcendental. Even Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra is very, very powerful. Recently, I heard of the incident in Russia when there was a Prabhupada lady disciple was being brainwashed by KBG. But because the devotee was chanting, they could not do much. So then eventually the KGB brought a witch, very, very powerful witch, to change this Mataji's mood, mind. And then this witch was very powerful. She came and started doing all this witchcraft. And eventually Mataji could feel that she was losing her will, her consciousness. And she was reciting a prayer, chanting mantras, but nothing was happening. Eventually she felt hopeless, just about to give up, and the witch was about to overtake her mind and her body and the spirit soul. Then she remembered, then she chanted Srila Prabhupada Pranamata, Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Pastaya Bhutale, Samate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nami, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pichani, Vishesha, Shanivari, Paschata, Desatani. As soon as she chanted this Pranam mantra, Prabhupada, the witch just got a shock. She told the KGB, oh, I cannot go any further. KGB, what happened? This lady, one old man is protecting her. He is so powerful. I cannot do any more of this witchcraft. I'm going. He said, no, you cannot go. You try again. No, this old man standing behind her is so powerful. I cannot go. I'm just going. So she just left. So we can see Prabhupada Pranam mantra, Prabhupada's deity form is very, very powerful. It depends on the mood of the devotee. So in this verse, we can see the compassion of Narad Muni. He saw the king doing fruity activity and came straight to the point. He said, what are you doing? He's just chastising. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? This fruity activity, you'll not be able to get the two things. The chief aim is to get happiness and get rid of these material miseries. So this chastisement was like eye-opening. And even you can see from the following the verses coming after this, the king received this chastisement in a very nice mood, and Narad Muni was convincing of devotional service. Once again. So in the going to the purport, we see Srila Prabhupada in the first paragraph. He's comparing the materialists who work day and night and thinking that they'll get happiness. In the first sentence, Prabhupada says, in this material world, there is a great illusion which covers real intelligence. So real intelligence, Buddhi Yoga, is to realize Krishna through devotional service. And one who works day and night just for some profit and realize trying to get some happiness is like chewing the chew. There's no, when the sugarcane is chewed and left, there's no juice left. It's just miseries. So here Prabhupada's very, very sharply rebuking the materialists who work very, very hard. He says, what is the use? There's nothing permanent. When you do is short-lived and you will not get much benefit. Working is a typical karmi. This is a typical karmi in the material world. Works like an ass from 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, and then he get distressed. The boss rebuke him. There's so much issues with the job, and because he gets a bit of money to enjoy to sense gratification, he become happy. Just like an ass who's carrying such a big load, but the donkey carrier, the ass carrier, he just dangles some carrot or green grass in front of him. The ass thinks, oh, I am going to get this. I can carry this load. This is the mentality of the material world, material people. So Prabhupada is saying, this even flickering happiness is not obtained without undergoing some distress. There's so much distress, mental issues, relation issues, employment issues, financial issues, so many issues, just because the people are not coming to this point of doing devotional service. Then in the second paragraph, Prabhupada is saying, actually pure happiness can be obtained within this material world. If you want to obtain something, we must suffer. Some has to be done tapasya, like a devotee, and because the material world is dukhalyam asvasatam, is full of material misery, and asvasatam is temporary. In the temporary situation, whatever we get, a short benefit, but there's no long-term benefit. It's just bounce back, and material people get illusion and frustrated, and they do not know what to do. Only the devotee, because of great compassion, comes and instruct them of the real goal of life. So, because there's no happiness in the material world, and the person works very hard for so-called happiness, Prabhupada, this is the illusion. Indeed, this process of working hard is should taken for happiness. This is called illusion. There is no sukh, there is also dukh, so much misery. And people think this is happiness because there's temporary, short-lived, flickering happiness, and people work very hard for this. So this is the illusion. Then in the third paragraph, Prabhupada is comparing the devotees also undergo some austerity, some stress, if you can, to achieve devotion, to do devotion service. But this is not on the same level. The devotees working hard in devotional service, doing austerity, getting early in the morning, chanting their rounds, going to work, doing preaching activity. This is on a transcendental level. It's not on a material level. Sometimes you see the devotees, non-devotees can also devotees are going to die. As we are going to die. So what is the difference? And Prabhupada explained very nicely. The devotees die. Just like Prabhupada gives an example of the cat carrying a mouse and cat carrying its kitten. When the cat carries a kitten in his teeth, the kitten is feeling very safe, very protected, and is happy. Similarly, when the devotee dies, Krishna protects the devotee, carries them. So he's in a very protective, very friendly, very protective environment. But when the same cat catches a mouse in its same teeth, the mouse is in a panic situation. He's in a death throes. So it's a very different situation. So here, Prabhupada is saying devotees may undergo many distresses in executing austerities and penances connected to devotional service. And then Prabhupada explained even Lord Brahma has to go these four miseries of life. Which are the four miseries of life? Dukkha, birth, death, old age, and disease. So this is very evident into the top, from the top highest planet of Brahmaloka to the insignificant end. Any material entity, any living entity who are in the material world has to go through these four miseries. And these are the main problems of life. So here, Narad says, he said the chief aim of life is to get rid of the miseries, enjoy happiness. So these four miseries are evident in all these lokas, from Brahmaloka to material world to Pataloka, and there's no escape unless a living entity takes to devotional service and surrenders on to Krishna. So Narad being very compassionate, he's chastising the king because he's very much allured in doing big sacrifice in free activity. So we can see what are these fruity. Why Narad Muni is asking the king to give a fruity, fruity activity. This is explained in chapter 2, verse 42 and 43. Yam imam puspitam vacham pavaktani avipachisa veda vadarata partha nanya asiti vadita kamanamana sarvapara janma kama phala palam piya visesa bahulam bhoga ishwarya gatim prati. Translation by Prabhupada. Men of soul knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and open life, they say that this is nothing, there is nothing more than this. So in the Karmakan section, Karmakan section of the Vedas, as this king is trying to perceive, why is trying to execute these fruitive activities? Because there's a process by which one can get elevation to heavenly planet, or one can get resultant good birth, power, and sense gratification, and open life. So king says this is nothing more than going to heavenly planet to enjoy all these things. And because this is short-term goal, Narad Muni could see the king's miscalculation. And he's come here to point this out. In this purpose, Srila Prabhupada said in this verse, chapter 2, 42, chapter 2, 42 and 43, people in general are not very intelligent, and due to their ignorance, they are most attached to fruitive activities. They are recommended in the Karmakan portion of Vedas. They do not want anything more than sense gratificatory proposal for enjoying life heaven, where wine and women are available and material opulence is very common. In the Vedas, many sacrifices are recommended for elevation to the heavenly planets, especially the Jyoti-Stoma sacrifices. In fact, it stated that anyone desiring elevation to the heavenly planets must perform these sacrifices, and men with poor fundamental knowledge think that this is the whole purpose of Vedic wisdom. So here, Narad Muni could see the king is going the wrong path. He has come to take the correct path. So, in spite of knowing this is not the right code. So why do people still try to follow this? So this the reason is giving in the next verse of this chapter, chapter 2, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 44. Bhoga Ishwarya Prakshatanam Atapasthara Chetasam Vyasa Vyasatma Buddhi Samadhavna Vihitite. In the mind of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotion service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. So, because of the compassion now, when people see the king is going this way to trying to do sacrifices to elevation to the heavenly planet or for sense gratification, the resolute determination for devotion service will not arise. So he wants to cut the knot. This is the called root cause analysis. We should know what is causing the root cause analysis. We do this in material life too. Why? What is the why? Why this? We come to the root cause. If you stop at the root cause, then the upcoming problem will stop. So here, Narad Muni is very, very compassionate. He said, why are you doing this? Chastising. And this is because if we keep doing this, the resolute determination for devotional service will not arise in his heart. So it's very, very sharp, very, very to the point. And this is the issue with many, many non-ISKCON preachers. They want to just skip over the hard part, telling hard truth of people. They want to just say, oh, just keep doing, don't worry about this. And then we know our spiritual master says, like somebody has a boil and just trying to blow some air to cool it down to get a bit of relief from the pain. But the main issue is there's an infection. You have to cut it out and then take the pus out and then have some antiseptic applied so the boil can heal. But people who are very much attached to sense gratification, they just want to give us short-term relief. So this is the root cause is that the boil has got infection and it's got serious pus. You will not able to elevate the pain unless you cut it, which is a bit of painful process to get the pus out. So here Narad Muni is trying to cut the knot, go to the root cause. Don't do this Otherwise, you're going to go the wrong way, and you have many, many lifetimes coming back to material, coming to the cycle of birth and death. That is compassion. This is compassion of Srila Prabhupada and Acharyas were coming to this sharp determination to give up, asking people to give this material life and come to the point of devotion service. So Narada is very, very compassionate. So then Prabhupada says towards the end, this old age, if one is at all serious about attaining liberation from this material message, he must take to devotion service. This is confirmed by Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita. Janma karma chamantivyam evam yogata tata fakta dehar puna janma naiti mam iti sarjuna. One who knows the transient nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again and in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So then Narada is here, Prabhupada is quoting the solution. How to get out of the solution, how to get out of this material cycle of birth and death. If there's a problem, one should come with a solution. Otherwise, there's no use preaching if there's no solution. So here Prabhupada mentioning, if he wants to get out of this cycle of birth and death, one is to understand Krishna's appearance and his activities, which are transcendental. If one does that, the solution is if one meditates on these activities of Krishna, his transcendental birth and his activities, at the time of death, he will achieve Krishna's abode, and he'll not get this punarjanma, no birth and death after his lifetime. So Prabhupada is giving the solution, and so Narad Muni is also in that mood as they're studying the errant king. If he doesn't tell him, then the king will keep on doing this yagnas, killing so many innocent animals, and then because the king is a leader of the society, and then his subject will also follow. This is another repercussion. If the king is not following the proper procedure, proper leadership qualities, then the citizens will also follow this. So the Narada is very, very intelligent. If he can convince the king to stop these activities, foolish activities, then his citizens will also follow him. They'll also get liberation. There will be a flow-on effect. This is a very, 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 very strong strategy. How to do mass preaching. We can see even historically, when King Ashoka, before he became a Buddhist, the Buddhism did not spread in India very, very fast. But Buddha convinced Ashoka to ahimsa. And then when Ashoka became Buddhist, and he started patronizing Buddhism, Buddhism spread very widely in India, went to Sri Lanka, Cambodia, China, Japan, because he had a patronage. So it is a tragedy. If one can capture the main leader, if he become convinced that he, by just this flowing from the citizen, and Narada could see the strategy. Similarly, Guru Maharaj was also trying to do the strategy in Fiji, because the majority population are native Fijians. They're very, very strong followers of Methodist Christianity, Methodist sect of Christianity. And the prime minister at that time was Sir Ratu Mara. He was the leader. And our Guru Maharaj was, he was trying to get friendship, build a friendship with him, invite him to the program, and through the business people, and indirectly push him, and he eventually became a vegetarian. Idea was, if the leader of the society, the head of the chief of the Fijian community become a devotee, then all the villages, they'll eventually follow. This is the same strategy Christian adopted in Fiji. When they came, they were not having much success in converting the natives to Christianity. So they get hold of the chiefs, the main leaders. And when the chief converted, whole villages, village after village became just took up Christianity. And eventually, mass of the native population became Christian, just because the chiefs became Christian. They were not preaching to the lower villages. And this is a strategy Guru Maharaj was trying to implement in Fiji. Unfortunately, the Prime Minister at that time, he also passed away, and also Guru Maharaj also left material world before he could implement this. So this is a very nice strategy. We can see Narad Muni is preaching very strongly to the king. So he becomes very elevated, and his subject eventually will also follow this. So it's a study of the preacher, how to maximize the preaching activity, how to pass this message. So if the head of the state or head of the another community or head of another religious organization become convinced and become a devotee, then his followers most likely will go that path. So here, this is another compassionate nature of Narada. It's very, very sharp, very, very intelligent. If he can stop the king from doing all this sacrifice activity, trying to elevate him to the heavenly planet, if we follow on to his subject, and they also get elevated. So, very nice verse. This character of King Puranjan will follow after this, and how Narad Muni convinces the king will be, which is the main aim of this chapter. Will go on eventually the other speakers to elaborate more on this. So in this chapter, what we learn is the extreme compassionate nature of Narad Muni and the acharyas. I give the example of Ramacharya, Srila Prabhupada, and yesterday some of our Prabhu gave the example of Narad Muni transforming Mudari the hunter. Such a great transformation, especially because so much compassion in the heart, because of the purity, they could do that. And then we see in this verse that due to transformation, sometimes it's quite to be very direct and sharp, more like chastisement, but depend on the purity of the preacher, it can be very, very effective. Depend on how sharp, what level one can go, depend on the preacher's purity, also the recipient's mood. The recipient mood is very, his faith is very shallow. One cannot do this, otherwise the recipient will become disheartened and might not like to follow. So here Narad Muni could sense the king's mood, and he preached accordingly, very sharp. He was very direct, and he chastised him. And then he also gave the answer to the question he posed. So we had two compassion. Narad Muni made a mode of preaching, the mood of being very sharp and direct. And then we see the Prabhupada preaching why Putti is not very good. Because even the pious activity and also the sinful activity, both are on the same level, because it binds the living entity to come back to the material world. So somebody might say, oh, somebody's giving so much charity, building hospital, looking at the poor. That's good, material point of view. But on the higher platform, the person who is doing the charity work has to come back to get the fruits of his activity. So he again goes in cycle of birth and death. So here, Narad Muni is explaining, and Prabhupada expounding this further. Say this, in the material there's no happiness. The karyam sasatam is temporary and full of miseries. And to get out of this, one has to come to devotion, the point of devotion service. And then Prabhupada expands the cycle of birth and death, the four material miseries, birth, death, old age, disease. And then towards the end, Prabhupada elaborates that to get out of this, one has to come to devotion service and meditate and the activities, Janma Karma Chadivyam, the transcendental appearance of the Lord and his karma, his transcendental activities. If he does that, tatta deha arpana janma, then he will, at the end of his life, he will not take another birth, but go back to Krishna. This is Krishna's benediction. So, cutting off fruitive activity and take to devotional service is a solution to some material problem. So Prabhupada and Acharyas are giving the main issue of the material life, the problem, and they also give a solution. So in this verse, we see the word Shreyas is given twice. Shreyas, ultimate benediction, and then it says, Seyastan Neha Chesate. So Seyas is ultimate benediction. So what is but Prabhupada is not giving much stress to the ultimate benediction, but through Narad Muni, he's saying that the fruity activities which is the king is bent upon doing is not the ultimate benediction. The ultimate benediction is to be to do devotional service. So this is the issue. Through devotional service, one can cut the knot of birth and death and come to the platform of devotion, to the platform of transcendental service to the Supreme Lord, which is the aim of life. To become extremely happy, enjoy happiness, one has to do devotion service. So in this verse, compassion of Narad Muni, a sharp rebuking the king, his direct preaching, and then purport elaborating the message of the material life, and the solution is all given. So very, very short verse, but without nice purport, and very, very giving the compassionate nature of the devotees. So I'll end here. If anybody has any question and queries, you can look at it. Thank you very much for your patience and listening. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandot Pranam. Such a beautiful explanation of the small verse, but so deep and so nicely explained right from the beginning, explaining how Narad Muni's compassionate nature helped the king to come out of his sense of understanding that material life, and though he has chastised the king, but he has given the solution, making him understand what's the difference between material life and devotional side. So Narad Muni, being a compassionate guru, he has taken the technique of his superior nature of preaching. So first he chastised, became compassionate, chastised, making him understand why you are doing this and what is the way out. So he gave a full description of the methodology to make it understand that whatever you are doing is not the correct, because he is the king, he is the representative of the whole citizens. So once the king is convinced with the right perspective, the difference between material activities and devotional activities, so naturally the citizens, the prajas, will be convinced immediately. So he took that technique and convinced at that stage to Prachin Varishan that this is how it's to be. Because your sons or 10 sons, they are doing the austerities for 10,000 years. And how come you change suddenly from the lineage of Dhruva Maharaj to the other direction? So he tries to stop that point and getting the right direction and the ill effects of material activities and the good effect of devotional service. So we can see Narad Muni's compassionate nature, though it looks like a chastisement, but the underlying meaning is the compassionate nature of Narad Muni. You have given us a good example of this boil is so attractive. It looks like people are in the mood of that. You have a boil and you try to get rid of it by blowing air or putting some ice. But as you mentioned, it is not the way. You have to just cut it out, take some pain. Once you cut it out, take out the poisonous fluid out of that boil will automatically go. So that example really fits so nicely with this text. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for summarizing. Much appreciated. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Anybody else? Any comment, question, queries?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you very much. Very nice class. And you've explained everything. First, what Nandavraj has told, what is the purpose of life? The purpose of life is not to remain, of human life is not to remain active in karmakanda activities or fruitive activities, because that only binds our suffering. We may think, as Prabhupada has very nicely told in the beginning, that even for the small happiness which one is trying to get, he has to give a lot of endeavor for that, and ultimately he fails for that. There is a reason for that. He has explained very nicely. And whatever we think as a happiness is nothing but the cessation of our sufferings for the time being, and that also one cannot do it permanently, because human life here is short and has and one at the time of death everything will go. So there is no point of being engaged in these fruitive activities. And the higher taste of happiness one can get when he is absorbed in transcendental loving service to the Lord. And you have explained very nicely how the particular example, unless we remove the main root cause and we do not know where we are working, we remain misdirected. So Narad Muni, as a proper spiritual master, he has made this very important point to the king, that if the king is not in the right path, the whole citizens will be misdirected. And out of his compassion for that, for all the living beings as his citizen, he has gone to the king, so that if the king is rectified, his subjects will also be rectified. In this way, the whole citizen can get the right direction. And that is the compassion of a devotee, because he knows why the people are suffering, and he not only wants to because he knows it, he knows the reason for that. He is not only satisfied with that, he preaches it to others so that others can take benefit of that. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for the nice class. And that's my realization. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Okay, anybody else before we? Okay, doesn't seem to be any more comments, so we end here. One chakal
His Grace Nandavraj Prabhu ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
jai.
Gaur Premanand, all glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.